Shall we start? I think most of us are over here. Good morning, everybody. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Kortian. I'm going to be the chair for this last plenary session. This is our last day, so I really hope you've enjoyed the conference so far, and those of us who were at the cruise last night, I hope you enjoyed the sights of the beautiful Sydney harbour that we have. This morning's session is around big data analytics and specifically around the trends. And this morning we've got a very esteemed group of industry professionals who are going to share their insights around what's coming up in the area of big data analytics. So we have Agnes Panosian, who's from Microsoft. She's the data and AI lead. We have Delton Anatau, who's from Brightstar, and we have Amit Jha from Wipro, who's the analytics part and business head at Asia Pacific. So before we started, I thought I'd give some of my perspectives around what I've seen in my area in my consulting firm. And I don't know if you've seen the big data wheel, and when we start talking about big data analytics, we think about the 9S structure, and at the hub of big data and analytics is really statistical thinking. And so if we were to use this model, my experience in a number of companies is that there isn't much statistical thinking going on at the moment in organizations today. We heard Olaf in the opening speech talk about today's leaders and what skills they need, and I like to describe to people what we need in business today are leaders that are quantitatively literate. In other words, they understand all the aspects around what data is. I remember at a financial institution where I worked, a very senior person did not know the difference between the mean and the standard deviation. He thought they were both the same. And then, the other thing that I've realised is that when people hear fads, they want the latest things. These FOMOs, the fear of missing out. There are a lot of leaders who have this fear of missing out, and so do they understand the difference between population statistics versus sample statistics? Are they doing analysis using sample statistics before they jump in and invest into big data? So, what are the benefits in terms of their investments? And then, more importantly, the power of models. And, George Box, a famous quote, all models are wrong, some are useful. Do they understand what are those useful models? And then, the whole area around artificial intelligence. The tools that are out there now, and some of the esteemed panel will be talking about the tools that they have, they're quite sophisticated. And they do the thinking for you. So the other area where I think there's a very, very big hole is the infrastructure. What infrastructure do they have in order to handle this type of information that they're coming in with? What platforms do they have? There are many companies today, very large companies, that don't have ERP systems. And more importantly, where does all of this fit in their business process framework? Do they have their organisation modelled around business processes that they measure, and they know where the data comes in and allow them to make decisions? So, do they have operational dashboards, management dashboards versus strategic dashboards? And today, people don't understand the differences. And how you would use big data, primarily if you were looking at responses to particular situations in operational dashboards. So, this is a real example of a company where I consulted in. It was they started to do big data. They decided to do a project. They had created a BPM framework based on ETOM, but in their infinite wisdom decided to kill it. They needed to cut costs, like most programs. As soon as cost cutting comes out, The thing that they don't know about, that's the first thing they will cut. And so they cut their whole BPM program. No one in the leadership understood what statistics was all about. They just had no idea what it was. But what was very, very scary was their lack of understanding in terms of their IT systems. They had 22 separate IT systems, and some were as old as 18 years. They had not upgraded their IT particular system for 18 years. It's very unstable and always would crash. And they decided to kick this project off around their digital area. As you can imagine, being a telecommunications company, a lot of their cost of sales was with shops, and so they wanted to drive their digital sales. That represented less than 5% of their total revenue. And creating a weekly dashboard took 2 people 2 days from 7 separate IT systems. And they went in to jump into a big data project. Needless to say, that all really failed. So I think the moral of the story with all of this is that while big data and analytics is a great opportunity, people need to understand that they need to crawl before they can walk, before they run. So I wanted to leave you with these 2 thoughts and invite Agnes to come along and say a few words around her area with Microsoft.
Thank you, Vic. So, Agnes Panosian, I've spent about a quarter of a century playing with data and more recently with AI as well. Most of that with Microsoft, so about 21 years at Microsoft. When I joined, we were just starting to look at the analytics platform from building a BI solution around cubes. So for those of you who have been around the BI, that's when we brought out the multi-dimensional cubes, and we wanted to look at the statistical data correlation with the various different aspects and entities. We've come a long way since then, and I think the last 10 years we've seen a huge growth and opportunity with big data, and the next phase, or the trends that we're seeing, is around how we harness the intelligence from that data to allow us to really do 2 things. So I like to simplify a message around how data and AI enables us to build in automation through predictive and prescriptive analytics, and also for the good. How does it help us make our society more inclusive, bring it into accessibility, and AI for the good is what my view is in terms of the potential. So I'm just going to go, is this the clicker?
Yeah, it's the clicker.
So this is just a view. I'm sure the last couple of days you've heard a lot about the potential of data and AI, and this is just an overview of a very, very big topic in regards to my view of how I see the opportunity both in the Australian market as well as globally. So one of my focus areas is how do I take data and the analytics platform with the Microsoft toolset and capability into the market? What are the opportunities that lie there for us? And what are some of the trends that we see as well? So one of the key things I'm going to call out is that organisations over the last few decades have been collecting data. Data collection and growth of data is not new to us. My first job when I was at Macquarie University as an undergraduate was to work for a data collection company. It was a media monitoring company, and we had people who would actually watch videos of commercial television. Back then we only had commercial television with 5 channels, and we used to flick through the channels and stop at the ads and capture what ads went into air and recorded them on a piece of paper. My job was to take that and write a COBOL program to automate that and write them into big discs and send them to the Clemengers and the advertising companies, who sent out a report to Kraft, for example.